Who won the debate? Well, let's start with who lost the debate. Either Donald Trump pulled off the most brilliant move of his political career, or one of the stupidest and perhaps the beginning of the end of his political career. We just don't know. Fortunately, we have the caucuses coming up on Monday, and that'll give us the answer we need. On the one hand, he clearly stuck it to the media and perpetuated his reputation for fierce independence and courage. On the other hand, many voters may feel that he lacks the temperament to be president, that he was peevish and petulant, and some may wonder what happens if Putin offends him. Will that get us into a war? So we just don't know. Donald was being Donald, even by not being there. Within the four walls of the debate itself, I judge these things by a standard that might be a little different from you and perhaps many other of the commentators on these debates. To me, it's not a question of style. It's a question of where the moves in the debate fit into the strategic game plans of the various candidates. And I believe the overwhelming key move here was when Cruz and Bush and Rand Paul stuck it to Rubio over immigration. You couldn't come out of that debate without understanding that Rubio had flipped on immigration and that he was to the left of Cruz on immigration. Oddly enough, the most successful of those attacks was Bush's, who said, I was right there and I was with you and we both had the same position, and then you cut and ran, as he put it. I thought that's decisive. Going into the debate, Rubio had been moving up. In one national poll, he was actually second, passing Cruz. In the Iowa polling, he had gone up to 14 and 15% of the vote, having earlier been 8 or 9 or 10 or 11. And he was beginning to close in on Cruz for second place. Well, the issue that initially separated Cruz from Rubio was amnesty and immigration. And Cruz's job in this debate was to make that issue again the issue that contained any possible surge by Rubio. And I think that clearly happened. Stylistically, well, I think that the big difference between Cruz and Rubio is that Rubio was kind of on the front of his seat, making the points as vigorously as he could, as rapidly as he could, ticking them off very effectively. Cruz was kind of sitting back like he was the president, and he was giving opinions from the chair with a dignity and a presidentiality that I think made Rubio look very young and occasionally frantic. And Cruz was, as usual, brilliantly organized, articulate, and sound in making his points. I also think Cruz swatted away all the attacks on him, and by the middle of the debate, they stopped making any. And I think that Cruz ultimately did very well in the debate. Bush, I think, also did well. I think that in his attacks on Rubio, he was good. I think there was an animation to him that was good. I was revolted when he ticked off his various family members, like we didn't know that. But I think that he certainly showed a vigor in this debate. Now, Kasich did okay. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. But when you look at the contours of the race, Rubio is running against Bush and Kasich and Christie for the establishment candidate imprimatur. Now, I think Rubio hurt himself with the immigration position in that pursuit. Kasich is showing tremendous strength, not in Iowa, but in New Hampshire, because in New Hampshire, the Democrats and independents can vote in either primary, in the Republican primary. Republicans can vote in the Democratic primary, too. Open primary, they call it. Now, Kasich is the Democrats' favorite Republican because he's the most liberal and went along with Obamacare, expanded Medicaid in Ohio as Obama wanted, and is the most liberal of the candidates. So Kasich might move up in New Hampshire because of that, and might pass Rubio, who I think didn't help himself in the debate. But then Kasich can't sustain that because no other state of any importance has open primaries anymore. And at that point, Bush may move up because, again, you have to fill that vacuum. So if Rubio trends down, Kasich goes up and then goes down, Bush might be able to rise and become the third candidate. Now, of course, the question is that worth anything by the time you get to the Super Tuesday threshold, where everybody has to more or less collapse into a two-way race? Now, come back on Monday and we'll talk about the caucuses shaping up. On Tuesday morning, I'll be back to comment on the caucus in the Lunch Alert. And on Tuesday, I'll be taping my podcast, which half an hour will go into great detail as to what happened in the Iowa caucus and what their impact is going to be on New Hampshire next week. Thanks for watching.